What's up YouTube community, Bernd here, welcome back to another video lesson. In this one I'd like to show you 3 amazing timing and rhythm exercises that will really unlock and loosen up your right hand. This will greatly help you with a lot of different aspects of your guitar playing. So I don't just want you to see these workouts as riff and rhythm exercises, they will also really help you with using more of your wrist when you're playing fast in general. So if that is one of your practice goals, you came to the right place. This is one of the really cool topics you guys voted for on the lesson wishlist on Patreon for this month. In case you didn't already know, my patrons get to vote for the lesson topics that we discuss on this channel. So if you also want to decide on what we should practice next, make sure to check that out on patreon.com/Bernd. And one last thing before we start practicing together. Around 70% of you guys and girls watching my lessons are not subscribed to the channel yet. That is a pretty shocking number, and aside from that you also keep missing a lot of videos and helpful exercises that might improve your guitar playing. So make sure to join my YouTube community today by subscribing, that way you never miss out on another video lesson again. With all that said, let's get to work. The actual main reason why the following workouts are extremely important for rock, metal and shred players in general is that we're often only working with exercises and practical examples on one string in these playing styles. If you have my first online course 10 Steps to Modern Shredding, you will be familiar with exercises like that. That's exactly what we start working on in the first week, switching correctly between different note values on just one string. That's a great exercise for your accuracy, and it really prepares you for playing those machine gun-like metal riffs. But if you feel like you haven't really unlocked your right hand or your wrist yet, I recommend working with more strings. What I mean by that is working with some really cool, tight and interesting chord strumming patterns over multiple strings. So the following exercises are heavily inspired by different funk and fusion players. And even if that's not really your favorite kind of music and you don't see yourself as a big funk guitar player in the future, these workouts will greatly help you out with your timing, rhythm and your right hand and wrist in general. And of course, it's also great to add some musical variety to your daily practice routine. So here's the first pattern that I want you to work on. As always, you can find the tabs, guitar profiles and practice backing tracks for all of these exercises and for all of my YouTube lessons on patreon.com/Bernd. As you could hear, this exercise consists out of 2 different parts or measures. Let me play it at a slower tempo first before we dissect it in detail. So we are using just one chord shapes for all these exercises, the often called Hendrix chord, so the E7 sharp 9 chord. Here we have the root E on the 7th fret on the A string, the major 3rd G sharp, the minor 7th D and the minor 3rd G. So we have the minor 3rd and the major 3rd in this voicing. That's why it sounds pretty suspenseful. And one very important detail right here is that I'm blocking the lowest string with my thumb. In the left hand tutorials from last month, I actually advised you against letting your thumb stick out from behind the fretboard when you're playing. But right here it serves an important purpose. I really want to block the low E string to get that cool muted staccato kind of sound. In order to get that really tight and as percussive as possible, I'm also muting a bit with my right hand. So these are just some very fast and percussive elements that I'm adding to the riff, and with these details you want to focus on not accidentally playing harmonics or letting the open string ring through. You really want that blocked and dead kind of sound. So one of the main challenges with this workout is switching from the dead notes to the open chords. There should really be a big difference between the open chords and the dead notes, and we don't want any overlapping elements between them. So I don't want it to sound like that, for example. Or to demonstrate the other extreme, this is also not the sound we're going for here. So once again, really make sure to get those big and tight accents on the chords and to really mute those dead notes. And for the second part, I'm not just working with 1 or 2 muted strings for the dead notes. I'm using the more traditional approach of lifting the fingers just a bit from the fretboard to get dead notes that sound like that. So there's a big difference in those really muted dead notes and dead notes like that. So here's the second part played a bit slower. So So if I would not mute the strings with my left hand by lifting the fingers, it would just sound like that, because I'm not muting with my right hand here. So that is the more traditional approach of getting dead notes for your chord patterns. And you can also try moving that motion around a bit. It gets a bit warmer right here. So it's always great to experiment with different angles and different sounds. And that motion is actually very similar to my regular alternate picking motion. There's just one detail I have to adjust right here. I'm basically just not resting my hand on the bridge anymore. I move it out like that. Aside from that, it feels pretty similar. Now that we discussed all of these very important details, let's move on to the second exercise I want you to include in your practice routine if you want to further loosen up your right hand. You can also find the tabs, guitar profiles and practice backing tracks in different tempos for this one on Patreon. So with this one we work with one of my favorite rhythm twists. We are working with a syncopated group of 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And after that, the dead notes once again, so once again I'm working with the more traditional dead notes, where I'm just lifting the fingers of my left hand a little bit to get that kind of sound. And I'm pushing out my wrist compared to the regular alternate picking technique. And I'm also including the super tight, fast dead notes. There are 2 important details you need to pay attention to for this exercise as well. The first one is that we are not playing triplets yet. If you need more assistance with understanding, learning and playing that, you can check out the first week of my online course 10 Steps to Modern Shredding. All of this is discussed right there in great detail. And the second detail is that we still want to make sure to play 32nd notes and not 16th note triplets with the really fast dead notes. That also goes for the first example, so we don't want to play. Right here we're missing one stroke, so we always land on an upstroke for the accents, but we actually want to play 32nd notes, meaning the accent is a downstroke because we have 1, 2, 3, 4 notes before that. So please make sure to pay attention to those details when you practice this and remember to start slow. And here's the final example I want you to work on to improve your timing and rhythm skills. Now we are finally switching to triplets, and it's really important to work with both of these feels in your practice routine. The most important detail about this exercise is the way I'm distributing my down and up strokes. When I'm playing triplets like that, just with continuous down and up strokes, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I get one accent, the first one on a downstroke, and 1, 2, 3, 1, the next one with an upstroke. And that can be a bit difficult if you really want to lock in with the rhythm section. For me personally, that's actually much easier to do when I make sure to place a downstroke on all those heavy accents. So I make sure to work with this pattern for the exercise. Downstroke, upstroke, downstroke, downstroke, upstroke, downstroke. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The disadvantage of that is that I have 2 downstrokes in a row. That can be a bit tricky in the beginning, but the big advantage of that pattern is that I can place a really powerful accent in the form of a downstroke on every pulse. So it sounds like that, instead of. So of course there's also a small difference in sound, but overall it's just a bit tighter and easier for me to play that way. Now that we discussed all 3 exercises in detail, let's watch them again before you start practicing. I really hope that you will include at least one of those 3 workouts in your next practice routine. We will get back to the shredding very soon, but it's also really important to work on your timing and rhythm skills. Those are the skills you will need much more often as a studio and live musician if you're considering to become a professional player. In the end, make sure to subscribe to join this guitar community today and to never miss another free guitar lesson like that. Leave a like in case you enjoyed that one, that always really helps me out a lot, and a comment in case you have any questions I can answer for you. If you want to support this channel and the creation of more guitar lessons like that, you can also check out the merch on Teespring. As always, you can find the link in the description, so thanks a lot for your support. I will see you guys and girls in the next video lesson. All the best and have a lot of fun practicing until then.